All right, EJ and half of X. Oh, there's whole X. We're
I've been
going
enjoying
to
doing this whole time.
drifting off.
It's like being
Looks like a bad
oh,
80s
my.
video. Take on me. We're gonna talk about football.
Woo!
That's right. Football's back. We just had
so
our
excited that we
fantasy
get to talk
draft.
about football. Yeah.
You know, we both also did our series of videos, which I hope many of you check out here on the Vanilla Thunder Productions page.
NFL predictions.
NFL predictions across the board from each of us individually, done separate of each other, independent of each other.
Completely independently.
Didn't even know where it was going to go.
We ended up we completely independently. We picked the same. We picked the Super Bowl the same.
Yeah.
We both said Green Bay and New England.
We had like more than half of the playoff teams the same, and we both picked upset playoff teams.
Yeah, the main difference was that I have this weird sneaking suspicion that I can't back up at all that the Buccaneers are going to take the NFC South, and that's probably not true. He's gonna, but whatever.
I didn't go with that. I honestly feel like it's between Atlanta and New Orleans, and I took Atlanta. And I think I had New Orleans getting a playoff spot. I feel like the NFC South is up for grabs because Atlanta, they lost a couple of key aspects. I don't necessarily know how I feel about their additions this year going into the season, but they were phenomenal last year. It's really hard to discredit how good they were last year.
I think that...
Go ahead.
I got my doubts about Turner.
Yeah, that's
I got my doubts about Turner. I'm not on the Julius Jones bandwagon right now.
No.
So I don't know about that. I think that Atlanta...
But they've got Matt Ryan, and
Matt
Ryan just does not lose games at home.
No.
That's 8 wins there.
But I mean,
and they're very well coached. I've always loved their offensive and defensive schemes, even when they aren't keeping people out of the end zone.
I just think that they're going to duke it out with the Saints, and Tampa's going to sneak up and take the division. Because I think Tampa can beat both of those teams on the road or at home. I think Tampa is... They want it, man. This is Freeman's 3rd year, right?
Well, I honestly feel like Freeman is going to come into his own this year. Yes, and
he's got Mike Williams.
They are overcoached by what's his name in Tampa, Morris.
Yeah,
and they are overcoached by him to the point where they overachieve. They overachieved last year. They should not have been in that playoff race.
They were 10-6.
Yeah, they were right
now
there.
Now they have Blunt emerging as a hell of a runner.
And as long as he bounces back, as long as he doesn't hit that sophomore slump, I see what you're saying with Tampa. I absolutely do. I just feel like Atlanta and New Orleans being the established entities in this division, I feel like Tampa's going to have a bit of a glass ceiling trying to push beyond those two and take the division. I wouldn't count them out at all for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I feel mainly I feel that Atlanta and New Orleans are a little bit more established. People have had a little more time to look at them and figure out why Atlanta in particular won so many games last year, and maybe figure them out a little bit. Whereas Tampa Bay, they were, people aren't going to be looking at them as much. They're going to be more of a surprise, and I think they're gonna really use their youth and kind of the buzz they've got going about into their advantage. But
and then then you have Carolina. Carolina's really only a story right now going into the season because of Cam Newton.
Who will be the quarterback? The rookie or the guy who's pretty much still a rookie?
Yeah, I think by week 6 this team is off everyone's radar again, whether Newton's playing or not. Newton is allowed to have an awful season. Peyton Manning had a ridiculously bad season his rookie year.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't think Newton becomes a star. I don't think he turns around this franchise. I think Carolina gets a top 10 pick next year.
Yeah, probably.
And then moving to the NFC North, our thoughts were pretty similar there. We both like Green Bay to take the division, and we both like the Lions to contend or even take a playoff spot.
Pains me.
It's frustrating for you, I'm sure, as a Bears fan, to just react a little bit to their off-season moves and where you feel they're going.
I think I've already said this a few times. What the hell, man? Fire Lovey or whoever made those decisions.
The GM there is just doing one bang-up job.
Come on. We need a threat at wide receiver. Let's go get Roy Williams and a bunch of other
because his ego colliding with Jay Cutler's ego isn't going to be wrong.
I don't care that he's worked the Mike Mart system before. His last relevant season was like 5 years ago. And you could have grabbed Ocho Cinco. You could have grabbed.
I think the best thing to come out of this upcoming season for the Bears.
We could have had Braylon Edwards, for God's sake.
The best thing to come out of this upcoming season for the Bears is that they're probably going to finish 500 or lower, and that will get their coach fired. And they can make some changes. I think they can win with Cutler at quarterback. I really do.
They can too.
But
we did.
They don't have the right people in place to do it. I don't think Mike Martz being elevated to head coach is going to do it. They need to go a different direction with the coaching staff. They need to get back to playing defense first.
Honestly, last year we had Martz, and everybody was like, "Oh, well, Mike Martz is going to shift them completely away from the offense." We didn't have a great offense last year.
No.
We had a great defense.
Yeah.
We were good on special teams. That's how we won games. It was like Mike Martz coming in and think that he's going to be the gunslinger again.
Well, Martz did something nobody else was doing with Kurt Warner and the Rams.
Yeah.
But 3 years into that got too easy to predict. It got Kurt Warner hurt and ran him out of town, and Martz wound up losing his job.
Yeah.
And he hasn't deviated from his original idea since he came up with it and got the Rams to the Super Bowl. And that's just not going to get it done. He's not getting it done.
As I said in my predictions video, the thing that pissed me off the most, number one problem for the Bears last year, go.
Their number one problem?
As far as what position they need to improve in.
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver?
I say wide receiver. They had a bunch of no-names that were competing for starting spots.
How about Cutler being sacked as many times as he was?
Oh, their offensive line. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Offensive line, but wide receiver and special teams.
Sure. But wide receiver, you go out and get someone. But you also retain who you've got.
Yeah.
If your offensive line is extremely shaky, I don't give a fuck how much money he wants. You pay Olin goddamn Kreutz. And you don't let him go into free agency and go to the Saints. Guy was a fucking locker room leader. He was the best part of that offensive line, and you just took a huge part out of that whole unit by letting him go.
Yeah.
That pisses me off. That guy was a Bear for 13 years. That really is.
That being said, I think they're still going to beat the Minnesota Vikings in the North.
Yes, they will. They will. Of course they will.
Not just because we both hate the Vikings, but because I really don't think Donovan McNabb is going to be some golden, it's not going to be some, renaissance or reminiscent year of a return to glory for McNabb. He's not going to be a Pro Bowler this year.
Donovan McNabb is there to give Christian Ponder another year to get ready. Is basically what Donovan McNabb is.
And I think Ponder is not even an NFL quarterback, so I think Minnesota's screwed for a long time to come. But that's just me.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right.
But Detroit, I love Detroit.
Yeah,
Detroit
the Lions, they're so stout on defense that Schwartz is a phenomenal coach. I love what he's done and what he's basically done with 3 or 4 different quarterbacks in the last 3 years. And if Stafford can just
stay healthy
on the field, even when he's hurt, he's on the field. If he just stays on the field, this team could legitimately win 10 games.
Yeah.
I really feel that way this year. So,
frankly, honestly, with all the experience he got last year, I honestly think it might not even be so bad if Sean Hill got the pitch. I mean, he has experience.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, if Stafford can be on the field, in my opinion, they're definitely a playoff team. If Stafford gets hurt, they're still a contender. As far as
especially in the NFC.
Yeah.
And then jumping east, the NFC East. We both had the Eagles. That's everybody's pick, really, to take the division.
I mean, with their offseason, it's hard to bet against.
We differed a little bit on how the rest of that division's going to go, though.
I think the Giants are going to do well.
I've always been down on the Giants going into the season, and they always go through a period where everybody thinks the Giants are going to finish, 5-11. They do it every year. They go through a period where they look like a 4-12, 5-11 team.
Yeah.
But they somehow put it together, put together enough wins to either be in the playoff hunt or in the playoffs. So to their credit, they keep trying, But
Bradshaw's got another year under him. Manning's not going to make all the mistakes. Manning's not going to throw as many.
Everybody keeps saying that, though. But I really don't feel like, Manning himself said he belongs in the same category as Tom Brady.
Well, whatever. That's
Are
bullshit.
you high? No. You don't.
He's not in the same caliber as Tom Brady.
You're not in the same group, okay?
I mean,
you are awesome a B quarterback.
It's awesome that you beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Good for you.
That was hilarious, and I laughed my ass off. I was totally rooting for you in that one. I think that, honestly, I still have some nostalgia for the Eli Manning Giants just because I really enjoyed the Super Bowl. But
fair enough, but Tom Coughlin is always one stupid move away from getting fired.
Well, they just lost Terrence, what's his name? One of their cornerbacks.
Terrence,
Thomas. Terrell Thomas.
Yeah, Terrell Thomas.
I was thinking of Terrence Pryor. I was like, no, it's not Terrence Pryor.
Mm-hmm.
Terrell Thomas, they just lost for the season, thanks to my Bears, I guess. Sorry.
Yeah, so, you know.
But
I feel like they, considering how the rest of that division is going to come at them, I don't feel like they're going to piece it together to get enough wins to get into the postseason.
I don't think the Cowboys or the Redskins are going to be good. That's the thing, is I think the Redskins and the Cowboys are both going to suck again.
That's where we differed in that I felt like it was the Giants that were going to fall a step behind. I felt like the Cowboys were going to play better than last year. That's not saying much, but
why do you think
Jason Garrett? I really feel like Jason Garrett put a system in play last year, minus Tony Romo, that could be very effective. The only problem is Tony Romo. I don't feel like Tony Romo is the guy who takes them to the next level. I think Tony Romo could be a B-level quarterback, like almost like a poor man's Eli Manning, to be honest. But
well, there you go.
But I see Dallas. On talent alone, I see them being able to elevate ahead of the Giants.
Dallas has never been able to make it. But I don't feel like Dallas makes the playoffs. Dallas has never been able to make it on talent. They had talent last year. They had lots of talent last year. They were talking about going to the Super Bowl last year. Dallas is not a team that you can just put a bunch of players together and say, go. You have to have a real unit, and maybe Garrett can do better with that.
One of the differences is no Wade Phillips this year. Wade Phillips has never been a manager of egos or personalities, and Jason Garrett might be that guy.
I mean, you've got so many, Des Bryant, and
I think Des Bryant wants to be a winner.
DeMarcus
to be honest,
Ware,
I think those guys want to be winners, and they want to be led by a winner, and I feel like that could turn into some extra success. Additional success for the Cowboys this year, but I still don't think they're a playoff team. And then you got the
best division in the NFC.
No, well, we forgot the Washington Redskins with Glenn Beck.
No, we didn't. I mentioned them. I said they were going to suck. With Glenn Beck, is that what you
I like calling him Glenn Beck because I honestly, who the hell does this guy think he is? Naming himself
I think they do
quarterback.
Better with Glenn Beck at quarterback.
They get a lot more attention. I think. I'm hoping now that John Beck has the best year ever because I got saddled with him on my fantasy team. But
saddled with him, yes.
Because it was that or Chad Henne.
I'd have picked Henne. I'm telling you, I'd have picked Henne.
No, Henne has no upside.
Right.
And Shanahan's destroyed the Redskins. I don't really
Shanahan
get
destroys everything he touches. God. Shanahan has the...
And we all know every running back in Washington's going to get hurt within 3 weeks of them ascending to the starters role. So
Terrain's hurt already, isn't he?
I hope not.
I know you picked him, and I really don't understand why. That's ridiculous.
I don't really know why either. I had a rough draft, but I don't even want to talk about it. Let's go West. NFC West, crappiest division in sports last year.
Tell us a little bit more about your rough draft then, Derek. Speaking of the NFC West.
No.
Who's your quarterback?
Sam Bradford. I think the Rams take the division. I think that's the one thing I got going. I think they get to 9 wins, which is all you're going to need in this crappy division.
I think they might even get 10.
Ooh, whoa. Well, if they sweep their own division, that's 6 wins there. But they got to go outside the division for 4 more wins. I don't see where they do that.
The Cardinals will contend.
Cardinals will contend. I think Cobb will prove that he's at least a 500 quarterback, but we really don't know what we're going to get out of him. Fitzgerald's going to be a very happy man, though, so I think you're going to see a lot of positives come from that. The running game in Arizona sucks again, though, because they lost their rookie, and injured, crappy Beanie Wells is going to be, once again, the #1 option in Arizona. Good for them.
They should sign who did I read was coming? Larry Johnson, I read, was coming back for another season.
Isn't he racist?
I don't know.
I think he's racist.
But he's trying out for Miami. I swear to God, I read the story today. Larry Johnson is trying out for Miami.
It's dumb.
Which kind of, I hope they don't get him because I have Daniel Thomas in my draft, so,
And then you've got some people out there picking the Niners to win that division. I think largely in part because of John Harbaugh being hired as coach, which is a great coaching hire. I think Jim Harbaugh, that's right, as coach, and I think that's going to be a great coaching hire for the Niners. But you've got Alex Smith as your quarterback.
I think if you can convince Brett Favre to come out of retirement again and play for the Niners.
Why did you bring him up? We went 15 minutes without that guy's name. You're the guy who usually never says his name.
Fuck Favre! I say his name all the time.
Fuck. We went 15 minutes without a Favre reference. Yeah, the Niners got Alex Smith at quarterback. They can't succeed. They can't succeed with Alex Smith at quarterback. They just can't. So then you've got Seattle, which is the professional version of USC. They're a collegiate team in the NFL, and they looked like it when they got droned out of the playoffs last year.
I'm sure that Pete Carroll thinks he's got something really good going on with Tavares Jackson and Sidney Rice.
I'm super clever. I'm going to bring in the Vikings' backup quarterback, his perennially injured wide receiver, and their O coordinator. And their O coordinator who couldn't produce a potent offense. And I'm going to align that with my USC powers, where I've hired 20-something USC players who are just happy to be playing somewhere. And no, I won't cut them because I love them because they're keeping me out of NCAA violation zones. So
the USC powers actually come from the USC amulet. That it grants the powers of USC.
Reggie Bush?
I'm really surprised he didn't sign Bush.
Slipped through their fingers on that one. They probably don't like each other a whole lot after Carroll wrote a book and Bush gave back his Heisman. They're probably not on speaking terms. And then you flip over to the AFC side.
Talking about the AFC West.
Let's go to the AFC West, where it's just as ugly as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, God. Can we talk about
the
Kansas City Chiefs now?
The Kansas City Chiefs, what the hell happened last year? That team was supposed to be awful. I'm not even sure who to give credit to.
EJ was very disappointed.
I was very disappointed because I predicted them to be one of the worst teams in football. And they instead made the playoffs. Only to look like one of the worst teams in football when they got there and leave a chalk outline of their quarterback on the field.
Then the Ravens were like, thank you, San Diego, for this gift.
Yeah, thanks for sucking. Yeah, the Chiefs, they're going to go right back to sucking. I'm being serious. I think people get hurt across the board. I think total bedlam breaks out in the locker room. I think this team takes a nosedive. And I think Dexter McCluster winds up the #1 wide receiver by the end of the season.
Wide receiver?
Yeah, wide receiver. The San Diego Chargers, I think, take this division in part because they have to.
It's either them or the Raiders.
They finally have an early schedule that favors them. Whereas before they've always started out really bad.
They're going to start out bad anyway. It's Norv Turner.
They just love cliffhanger
they're going to start out 1-2.
They're going to start out 1-4 and then finish 9-7.
A whole bunch of games in a row.
And embarrass Denver or something at the end.
That's hard.
Let's talk about the Denver Broncos. The attention's been on the quarterback situation, but around that, what does this team really offer? They got a new coach. They don't have a whole lot of time. A whole bunch of personnel changes.
No.
What are they going to do this year other than airing it out? They're going
to lean on Knowshon Moreno, and Knowshon Moreno is probably going to get hurt. It's sad to me to say. I mean,
I like the guy.
I don't think he can survive a John Fox offense. I don't think he can have that many carries.
Yeah, because they love John Fox loves to run the football.
I mean, yeah,
I don't know.
So Orton will have less of a chance to fuck up. But he'll also, I mean, you also got to think, the other part of that, of course, you also got to think that the Broncos will find themselves playing from behind a lot. So
Orton's going to be a great fantasy quarterback.
He will be a great fantasy quarterback again.
And no, I don't think Tebow ever starts a game this season. Sorry. He got moved to third on the depth chart. I honestly, your best bet is to go with Brady Quinn. This fascination with this idiot Tim Tebow, who's a phenomenal college quarterback and a great guy. But beyond that, he can't play in the NFL, and just because he sells jerseys doesn't mean he belongs. And I heard Merrill Hodge of ESPN actually said this, and I thought it was brilliant. Denver should turn around and trade Tebow to the Rams. Force Josh McDaniels to take his shitty player back and just end all ties with Tebow. Just send Tebow back to the idiot who took him and make that guy figure out how Tebow works.
Send him to Miami. Send him back home.
Send him to Jacksonville. That's what Jacksonville. They were saying Jacksonville should take Tebow because he's the hometown guy. That doesn't make you a winner because you draft somebody who's popular locally.
No. Jacksonville, they have to worry about selling tickets, though. Speaking of which, well, I guess we never really talked about the Raiders.
They're busy shooting each other, so that's really sad what happened in Oakland.
Speaking of Jacksonville, yeah, that's right, I heard about that.
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic.
But Oakland, I think, will actually be good this year. I think they...
Well, I think Campbell got his bell rung again already.
Yeah, but he'll be okay.
And they don't have Gronkowski as the backup.
I know. But
so
they have McFadden. He was brilliant last year.
Well, McFadden,
I mean, he won't play every game either, though.
There's been so much tied to McFadden and Bush. You know, they're losing a major component on defense too. With Asamoah.
Yeah.
So.
And they lost Zach Miller. But
I feel like I predicted the Raiders to get second in this division, and I think it's going to happen. But the West on both sides, but in both conferences, is just ugly. It's just ugly.
Division winners in the West, please at least have a winning record, please. Go 9-7.
Do us a favor, just win 8 games.
Even 8 games is okay
win 8
at
games.
this point. Because we've already had the 7-game winner, so we don't care about.
Another division that could be ugly but could be great, the AFC South. It's always been a very competitive division. Last year, surprisingly, Jacksonville outlasted Houston as far as trying to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, well, Houston fell apart in a lot of ways, especially mainly on defense.
And here we are once again looking at the season going forward. And Houston looks like a tantalizing pick. For like the 3rd straight year, they look like the pick. And I'm going to fall for it here.
Me too.
I think Houston takes the division, especially with the Colts quarterback situation now. With Peyton Manning potentially missing games. This is a serious situation for the Colts. I watched Curtis Painter play in his preseason game against the Redskins. That was awful. I mean, Dan Orlovsky, to his credit, a little more time, maybe he salvages some wins. But
bear in mind
he needs time.
Bear in mind that if Peyton Manning plays in 13 games, 14 games, whatever, I mean, they'll make the playoffs. If he plays.
The only caveat
they
to
always
that,
make the playoffs.
Is there's a couple other teams that I think will make a run at 9 wins, and that could put the Colts in danger.
Like what?
Jumping ahead of ourselves. I think the Cleveland Browns have a potential.
You mean wild card teams?
Right, as far as making the playoffs. The Cleveland Browns have a shot. The Ravens and Steelers. That's a toss-up. We'll get to that. And then the Jets and Patriots. That they're going to be fighting. One of those teams has to take the wild card.
I think that. I mean, yeah, it's true. I think the wild card
could get lost in the shuffle.
North is a real possibility, but the Colts.
Did you see the
straight?
Did you see the stat?
9 straight playoffs.
9 straight playoffs. The next longest streak is 3.
Yeah.
And then 4. A bunch of teams with 2.
4,
no, it's 3 with the Ravens.
No, because the Eagles have 4. The Eagles have gone 4 straight.
4 straight.
I'll show you.
Okay. So yeah, I feel like the Texans I think are the favorite. I love their offensive weapons. Yes. They play good defense. So they should put it together.
They should. Hopefully, they'll play better defense this year.
As a whole, yeah,
they didn't play good defense last year.
They should play good defense. They have the potential to. I don't know why.
Schaub should be fine. I mean, they have Schaub, Foster, and Johnson. I think that should be enough to win you a playoff spot, frankly. So,
but Jacksonville
falls
off the radar. They fall off the radar.
I don't think Gerard's gonna. I think Gerard is not gonna do it for you again this year, man.
I couldn't agree more. And then you got Tennessee. Wow, what a mess! What a car accident in Tennessee. That team fell apart fast.
Big time.
They're gonna be wishing Jeff Fisher was still the coach. I think.
I don't know if they'll go that far.
But that's the South. Moving up north, AFC North. You and I are going to go back and forth about Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
I love Baltimore. You know I love Baltimore. I'm a big fan of Baltimore.
I just think that
You still feel like Pittsburgh's going to get the job done.
I do.
I feel like Baltimore is going to surpass Pittsburgh.
I think Pittsburgh got to the Super Bowl last year. They didn't have Roethlisberger for the first 4 games. They've got a bunch of younger players who are just in their system, like Antonio Brown, like Randall L. or Emmanuel Sanders.
Okay. Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace, sure. And they've got a bunch of veterans on defense who will beat the shit out of you.
Well, it's the same recipe Baltimore uses. Baltimore lost a couple of offensive weapons.
You know what?
But I feel like
I've been waiting so long to see what it takes from Joe Flacco, and I'm done waiting.
I just feel like Pittsburgh hasn't had their head in the game in the offseason. There's been so much going on surrounding this team that's not positive. I think there's some negative energy surrounding this team, and I feel like they're vulnerable in this division because Baltimore is an equal to them. And I think Cleveland is poised to do some damage. Last year they shocked a couple of teams.
Yeah.
This year I think they're poised to contend for 500.
With the way Colt McCoy's been playing and the way Peyton Hills played last year.
And occasionally that defense stepped up and just played phenomenally.
For the record, the Ravens
and the Eagles have both won last 3 straight.
Okay.
I had the Eagles down for 4
because I'm predicting them to have another one this year.
Fair enough. Yeah. So I feel like Cleveland contends for 500. I don't think they make the playoffs. I'm not going to go that far.
No. I don't think Cleveland is good enough to make the playoffs.
Really throw some punches this year within their own division.
That's why I think only one AFC North team is making the playoffs, and I think it'll be the Steelers. You lost Derek Mason.
Yeah, and Todd Heap.
So I don't.
But Todd Heap was hurt a lot of last year. Derek Mason was hit and miss last year, so they know how to succeed when those elements.
Bolden and Rice, and that's about it. I mean, Bolden didn't do much last year.
Well, he also, he was learning a new system. He was also banged up too.
I hope you're right. Much like the Bears, I hope I'm wrong about this. I see all my favorite teams missing the playoffs this year.
Ugh.
And trust me, you have no idea how much it pains me to push the Steelers because I hate the fucking Steelers.
Yeah. For as much as Tennessee is a car wreck,
do we get to talk about Cincinnati now?
Cincinnati is a 9.2 earthquake. They are, wow, just the devastation that has occurred in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati fans, if you win a game this season, then congratulations. I will cheer you on. Good job for winning a game.
I hope Andy Dalton has really good insurance.
Hope Andy Dalton has a good chiropractor.
And I hope Carson Palmer at least taught him enough to not re-sign with the Bengals when this first contract is up. The Bengals are just
awful.
Wow. It is shocking to me how bad this team became so quickly. A team that was in the playoffs 2 years ago?
It was a fluke.
I don't think it was a fluke,
It was a fluke.
They had players that could get them there. And they've ran them all off, or those people have.
Who got them there? Cedric Benson?
Well, they had the great year out of Benson. They had Palmer. When Palmer has 5 guys in front of him protecting him, he's a capable quarterback.
Nothing wrong with Palmer.
And Chad Ochocinco is a good wide receiver.
He was.
I think he is still. But we have, I haven't talked about that yet. But they just let it all go off the table.
Yeah, they did, and they're going to pay for it. I think Mike Brown.
You might see paper bags in the stands this year in Cincinnati. It's going to be bad.
Mike Brown is going to pay for his
idiocy.
Yeah, and you can call it pride, and you can say he's standing up for his principles. Whatever, horseshit. I don't give a crap. You win games. That's your job. And if you have the choice of trading Carson Palmer for somebody who's going to help you win a game,
if your name is mentioned more often than any of your players' names, you have a problem. Just ask Oakland. Just ask Dallas. Those teams suffer with oppressive leadership. Cincinnati is just a gleaming example of what is wrong
Andy Dalton is not the answer, my friends.
Even though I think he's a good quarterback, I don't think he's the answer. He can't turn this around.
And finally, the East, the AFC East, where I believe, and I think you believe too, the Patriots will once again turn in dominant performances. The Patriots are certainly back to form, as I mentioned in my video.
Here's why, and that goes to Chad Ochocinco. I feel like adding Ochocinco means that Welker can be the best number 2 in the biz.
Yes.
So the Patriots are going to be able to do whatever they want on offense. They've got 2 capable tight ends. They've, who cares who their running back is? It's never mattered.
No,
so, and then on the defensive side of the ball, they got Albert Haynesworth. Haynesworth knows he's got to play, and he's got to do well, and he's got to stay in shape. He's going to be in the environment of winning ahead of individual.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to make all their coaching decisions.
Anymore. I think
they are, they've got the best coaching.
He wants to play now, right? That was a big deal for him. Is that he
exactly.
Play in 3-4,
As
right?
big a baby as he is, he got what he wanted. And then you got the Jets, and the Jets come in with that swagger and that attitude.
And they made a lot of free agent acquisitions too. They
did. They
got Plax.
Yeah.
You got Plax, and they got they re-signed Holmes.
Yeah.
And they got somebody else too. Who was it?
I forget. Yeah, but I still feel like the Jets are going to be half a step behind the Patriots when it's all said.
Yeah, me too.
But I feel both make the playoffs.
Yeah, me too.
So those 2 teams are safe. Then you've got Miami and Buffalo. Those 2 teams, wow, just bad.
Get the fuck out.
Miami, Reggie Bush is not your answer. This team, I don't know what they're thinking.
Sperano will not make it through the year.
It's unfortunate too because I think he's a good coach.
I think he's a good coach too.
And then you got Buffalo, who's got these interesting pieces to a completely disordered puzzle.
Buffalo, I think, made a really bad move in letting Lee Evans go.
Yeah,
honestly,
Stevie Johnson's going to get double coverage in every game now.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to need somebody like a C.J. Spiller to emerge.
If Spiller does emerge, then that'll be a huge weapon for them because I don't think Fred Jackson's going to get it done anymore. But
where does Buffalo go within that division? Miami always plays their own division tough, even when they lose all of those games. They play them tough.
Buffalo had a lot of heartbreakers last year. Yeah. They had a lot of games they could have won and in some cases should have won, but didn't.
Even if you gave them all of those wins, they still were an under 500 team.
Yeah.
Where do they go higher than third in that division?
You have to build. I mean, you have to. Who knows?
It's just not their year to make.
It's not their year to make the playoffs by any means, but
I don't think they get to 500.
They don't get to 500. They get another, high first round draft pick next year. They lost Paul Pelissany, which I don't like, but but they'll get another. The Bills are still rebuilding, and I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is the guy you can rebuild around. Personally,
I agree.
I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick under the quarterback position, and hopefully C.J. Spiller, if he can do what he needs to do under running back, can be a good threat. Stevie Johnson at wide receiver. The pieces are there. It just has to be developed.
Yeah.
You need to be developed. You need to get more experience in the field. They will do better this year than 4 wins, which they had last year.
I think so. And it'll take them a lot less time to win their first game.
Yeah. and they will continue to build, and I think eventually they will emerge.
Yeah.
I think they're in a much better position than Miami is.
Agreed.
Miami, this is going to be the year, in my opinion, they completely fall apart.
Yeah. I think the wheels come off this wagon by the end of the season.
Whereas Buffalo, I think they kind of happened a couple of years ago, and now they're...
Well, Buffalo's been struggling to find leadership at quarterback for quite some time now.
Well, yeah.
I think they found stability at quarterback.
Man, what's that like, having a team without stability at quarterback? That must suck. Shut up!
So yeah, that's our thoughts on the upcoming season. As far as the playoffs go, we both have Green Bay out of the NFC and New England out of the AFC.
Green
a rematch
beating New England
of Super Bowl 31, and because Green Bay likes to go to the Super Bowl with 2s. Again, damn it. Next year, please, let's not discuss that guy's name.
By the way, you've heard all the rumors that he's coming back, right? There's a bunch of rumors.
Really? No way. You could have shot this 6 years ago. It would have been the same thing.
By the way, everyone, somebody somewhere in some backwoods newspaper said Brett Favre's coming back.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, totally.
Was it the Brett Favre Press?
Maybe.
At Brett Favre, Mississippi?
No, Brett Favre says not. Brett Favre Press says, no, we're not coming back like he does every year.
Yeah, he's busy texting his junk to people.
Anyway,
that's that. We both
fucking Green Bay.
It's just really hard to pick against these
teams. It is. I mean, they won. Green Bay won this damn Super Bowl last year with 15 players on IR. I think that's including.
Give them all those players back. And what are you gonna do? You just got a whole other lineup of potential Pro Bowlers back in your lineup. Yeah. And then New England, you just can't argue with the coaching and the philosophy.
I can't say I like Belichick.
No, and it's frustrating to watch them do so damn well every year. But
I know.
Their philosophy is about winning, and they do it better than everybody else.
Sure.
So that's where we're at with that.
And we will be wrong, but that's okay.
I'll probably be right about everything.
Oh, fuck you. I'll be right about the NFC.
If I'm right about everything, that makes you right about a lot.
You know what? Yeah, it's true. But if I'm right about the NFC South, I want like $20 or something.
Ooh, maybe I'll do a video praising something against my wishes.
There you go. You should do a. I'll think of something.
Yeah, we'll be back with that. But hey, during the NFL season, follow me on Twitter at EJKaboom. That's KABOOM. Yeah, and follow him.
And watch, and you should,
on YouTube.
You should like learn about our fantasy football leagues too, because that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If you care.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm gonna win that too.
No. I'm gonna win that. My third championship's coming this year.
Third championship.